What's up, everybody? I'm Rod J Spec, the host here, and I'm glad to introduce you to another episode of Split Decisions. And of course, I do it with my bros, Ricky and Sean. How you guys doing, man?
Another week full of energy, dude. Episode 115. We're back at it. Yeah, we're already like cruising through it. Episode 1115. Ricky, Rob, what do you guys got to say?
Well, you got the last couple digits right. Or no, you didn't even get those right. I don't even know what episode we're on anymore.
14.
14. We're back with 14. I keep thinking we're on 15 just because of that.
Because we missed
that
1 week.
I keep saying 15, but it's 14. Episode 14. If you guys are here, if you guys have been here with us, thank you so much. And then obviously, always like and subscribe to the AllStar YouTube channel.
That's it. That's where you're going to find us. We try to drop it every week. Last week, we messed up. What are we dropping? We cover the hottest topics that we can find, the most relevant topics within combat sports, not just limited to MMA. We love it all. We'll just try to find good stories, good topics worthy of adult conversation. And that's what we're doing here today. And so there you go. That's the summary. And we're going to get right into it. First topic. Guys, all right. First off, I'm gonna preface this a little bit. I love when you get more than what you bought. So with the Nate Diaz Masvidal fight, we talked about it for a bit. It was leading in, gave us some stories. I was kind of like, whatever. The fight was actually much better than I thought. We all enjoyed it. We talked about it a bunch. Yeah. Well, fight's over. Past tense. We gave it its credit. I thought, we're all said and done. But no, there was another layer to this story, another piece of news, another bit of entertainment given to us by Nate. And guys, right off the bat, Nate versus Fanmio, the streaming platform that they were budding up with to launch this endeavor. If you guys don't remember, the fight was put on by a three-party production, going with Nate's production, Jorge's production, and of course, Fanmio. They also elected, they didn't have this going on, but later on into the fight, a couple weeks before, all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, also available on Fight Pass. That wasn't a thing. That was an odd curveball that I don't know what happened there, but I just wanted to throw that information out there. Sean, what your reaction to Nate fighting with everybody, now these guys, what's your thoughts?
As he should, though, because what's up with a promoter saying you're guaranteed money, saying there's money put away for you? From what I've heard, he was telling Nate up until the fight that money was put away in, I'm not good with financial terms, but some sort of hold and some sort of bank account for him that would be offered to him when the fight has arrived, right? Well, long story short, that guy reneged on that offer, and he is currently fighting for his life and fighting for his wife is what it sounds like, because his relationship is on the table. It sounds like there's no money to be paid, or else he will get a divorce. I heard that the reason that he doesn't want to pay this money out is he there's a chance that his wife leaves him. I think that he really is in the hole right now. He is actually considering, I think, filing for bankruptcy in order to avoid paying this money out. These are all things I've heard. So take them with a grain of salt. I don't know how many things are true, but if they are true, what a wild story. And this promoter, I don't know who he is. It's kind of sad that we haven't found out his name. I would say Dana White's probably laughing, but since Fight Pass is tied to this whole thing, I'm sure he's kind of like, what the fuck's going on too? So who knows? It's a big weird thing. And Nate, keep fighting for your money, because if you don't get that, I'm sure all the Diaz bros will roll up looking for that money.
Well, I'm not worried about per se. I just think it's a weird thing. I just want to say right off the bat that I don't know anything about the wife part involved, but I think that's funny. Second, I did see a rebuttal, so I just want to give everybody their fair due. Fanmio's not just staying quiet; they're saying they did pay Nate and some other stuff, and they're going to be able to prove their case. So they're not just being weird and in the background. If they can say they paid him something, I don't know. But here's the problem, and he's talking about 10 mil. I don't know where there would be 10 mil. There wasn't 10 mil, Ricky. I want to get all your thoughts on this, but I'm also going to throw another layer on there. There was not 10 million worth of nothing. That wasn't
Yeah,
10 million.
that was the shocking thing to me is why Famio, whatever, a base of 10 million. Like the way boxing works, it's obviously very, very different than the UFC, right? The UFC is going to give their champions a pay-per-view percentage and some select guys a pay-per-view percentage. It's a small percentage of the pay-per-views, right, that they're bringing in. The majority of the makeup of that money comes from your base salary. And then again, if you are a huge draw, if you are a champion, they'll hook you up with some percentage points and you make more, obviously. And boxing is different because you, especially when you are your own promotion, right? When it's Jorge Masvidal's thing, when it's Nate's thing, they're getting the large share of those pay-per-view buys that come in. So Famio, like, is he saying there was a $10 million base? Because there's no way in hell. Like, there's no way in hell you're getting a $10 million base for a fight plus pay-per-view, especially if they're going to pay you out 10 million. That must mean they think the pay-per-view is going to be insane, higher than, you know, Floyd and Pacquiao, but like it's not going to be. So I don't know if Nate has all the right, or if all the right information has came out. And to be honest, man, it sucks because I want to just, if Nate's owed money, give him his money. Like, no, you can't be dicking around. You can't put on these events. And to be honest, it was a good event. It looked good. The production was good. The turnout was fine. It was probably even better than I expected in terms of popularity, how many people wanted to see the fight. So if you owe him, pay him. But with Nate, man, you never really know what's true or what's not true. Like, Nate is owed something by everyone, according to Nate. Like, everybody owes Nate something. So I don't know the right amount. I don't know what was paid, what needs to be paid. The 10 million, especially if it's like base without pay-per-view, I just can't believe. I mean, there's no way. There's no
But
way
I
that
mean,
that fight was ever
hey,
going to do that.
if they said that was the offer and they put that on the table for Nate, he has every right to be asking where the hell is that money. So I mean, even if it's out of being like us as fans knowing 10 million is a really high number, hey, if Fanmio fucked around and put that number out to him, that's all, by all means Nate should have it. And I know we're only really getting more one side of the story from Nate. But hey, you got to take it with a grain of salt and kind of believe it for what it is until more things come out. And that's kind of how I'm running with it.
Fair enough. It's easy because we know Nate or we like Nate. We're fans of Nate. We're not fans of Fanmio. We don't know Fanmio. We don't. None of us can be like, well, remember the time Fanmio? Like, no, we don't got any of that. So,
well, the history with boxing promotion too hasn't always been the best. So that too, it kind of plays into my take of this as well.
Dirty promotions. Well, hey, I just want to throw this out there saying fair is fair and fair is all fair. Thank you. Shout out to Zach Palga, our guest and our friend. He mentioned recently on the timeline and conversation about some guys he trains with, some friends of his that have been stiffed by big name organizations on paychecks. Like, well, check it out. Like, so I don't want to leave it all. I know boxing is dirty. I'm not defending boxing, but I also want to throw all the crap at all the guys who deserve it, because there's messed up promoters everywhere. There's guys underhanding stuff. Man, the revival of bare knuckle boxing that I love so much almost never happened because the first guy who was battling BKFC to get out the shoot, if you guys don't remember the story, he was basically lying. He got Boss Rutan all in a mix of burning his name and credit with fighters and shit. It was an ugly mess. So this, long story short, is this kind of shit happens. I'm more curious on this other side of it, though. Guys, something that's happening modern era that's never happened before in combat sports, really. All these apps. You got everybody with an app. Everybody's trying to stream on an app. I mean, am I being pessimistic? Like, is there enough to support it all?
I talk about like the pay-per-view model.
The pay-per-view model, the fucking subscription model, the watch this one fight over here, watch this one fight over there. There's every fight now feels like, okay, every fight outside of the UFC feels like, come see it on this thing that you never had before.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think any of that shit even matters, because honestly, I could take 100 people, right, and say, hey, did you guys watch whatever fight? Nate and Jorge, did you watch UFC's last pay-per-view? Did you watch any of the big boxing pay-per-views that we've seen? Did you watch any of those? And they say yes, and I go, okay, cool. How many of you paid for it on whatever stream site, whatever they were supposed to pay for it? How many of you paid for it? Right out of that 100, how many do you think paid for it?
0.
If 20, you know what I mean?
No,
30.
yeah,
Like,
honestly, like 15. My
We've
number would
like-
be 15.
We've
That's
seen
what I'm
this
saying, so-
model. We've seen this model over and over again, where it's, hey, subscribe to this news subscription-based site. We'll draw you in with this fight. We'll draw you in with this concert, whatever it is. You click, you watch what you want to watch, and then you cancel that 30-day subscription or whatever it is before you hit that paywall. It happens with everything, and it's been going on for years and years and years. Little do you ever see one of these sites take off from a fight. I don't think really ever. I mean, we have Fight Pass that was grown from the sport. That's not something where it's like they started it through just like, hey, we're putting something on here. No, that originated through the sport. Fanmeo and Triller and all these other places that's had these one-off fights, they were trying to use a fight to pull you in to make their app a thing. And I can see why it was thought to be a thing, but it's surprising to me that that model is still taking place over and over again when it has done nothing but fail. We've seen these sites fizzle out. Triller. I'm sure we'll see Fanmeo fizzle out just because of the route that other sites have taken. So I'm not sold on it.
I'm going to jump in here and defend the good people at Triller. I've said a lot of jokes sometimes about various things of that, but I just want to say they bought into, took a lot of assets from Fight TV, FITE, and their programming. So now it's Triller TV, and then they're all intermixed with BKFC. So
my apologies, then I should have used a better example. But
no, you're right. No, I'm what I'm trying to give to you is that you're right. Is that they're still doing business, but that model of, hey, what you're saying just didn't work so badly that they decided, you know what, let me do two other things that are near this field, and I was just supporting you in a weird ass way.
No, that makes sense.
Ricky, last thoughts on any of this before we move on?
No, not much, man. Just like I said, Nate, it's just hard. I wish I could just be like, hey, whatever Nate says, you can take it as fact, but you really can't with Nate. Like, you really don't know. Listen, if he took the contract negotiations as seriously as he took the press conference, then we don't know what he did. They probably told him $10. You know what I mean?
Shoot, no kidding, dude. That was actually pretty good. All right, so I would love to go further, but I can't go any further without mentioning the AllStar Sports app, where you can get fully customized sports news, only the sports you want, only the teams you want, directly to you. But most importantly, MMA exclusive interviews done by the AllStar, and obviously a great place to play and make picks with your friends. Make a league, make UFC picks, fully tracked, have fun, enjoy it. We do all the time. And you know what? I'm thinking about, it's been a little while. You guys know, some of you guys remember or don't remember, I gave away prizes. I ran a league for multiple years. Might be a comeback. Don't call it a comeback, but there might be a comeback. I'm just saying. Going from one Diaz to another, because we might as well, right? The names are synonymous. I mean, we still got high-level media people fucking it up. We got pretty famous people fucking it up still. There's Nate and there's Nick. And there's Nick and there's Nate. And they're totally different dudes, but they act the same sometimes. Like, anyways, so now that we got that covered, we're talking about Nick. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Nick has decided to change his longtime head coach, or not have his longtime head coach around. I don't want to put words out there that weren't 100% true. Just Cesar Gracie himself confirming he was not involved in this training camp, this arrangement for this fight. And the reason why I'm bringing this up and why it's important is Cesar and Nick go back, like way back. Like they go back, like, what's that phrase? Go back like recline chairs. It's a long time relationship, and what we know from the outside as fans, that the Diaz troop is all about long-term loyalty, and they have tons of guys that we've seen around them for decades now. So it's very odd and concerning when someone who's built on a loyalty system isn't there. And then also, just in general, in sports. I don't even have to use the Diaz brothers. I can go anywhere else in all kinds of combat sports. When people have really good success with a long-term coach, and towards the end of their career, their coach and them might start seeing things a little differently. And the coach is being a little bit more honest because they're from the third person. Athletes, a lot of times, they don't really know how to self-assess good enough at the later stage. They take on challenges that are a little bit maybe dangerous or out of their reach or not advantageous for them. And I feel like this is that story with Caesar and Nick. It's kind of weird and unfortunate because we never really see this kind of stuff before from them. And as a Nick fan, this does not hold well in my heart going into this fight, gentlemen. It bothers me. So I guess the question I propose to you, your thoughts on the Caesar Gracie situation and the optics or feelings for Nick, I guess, going into this one, because I don't like it. Who wants to go?
I'll take it, man. Yeah, I
Rick?
mean, like you said, Nick Diaz and Caesar Gracie, you said they go back further than my hairline. So far back that you don't even know where it started in the beginning. Like, you don't even know where it started. So to see them not on the same page is kind of crazy. But we've seen it before in the past with other coaches, other fighters, where, like you said, things just aren't seen eye to eye. And sometimes, unfortunately, the trainer cares so much about the fighter that they don't care about getting a percentage anymore. They don't care about, hey, this is still my business and I still make money by being in your corner. It's more so, I don't want to see you fight anymore. I wish that you wouldn't fight. And that could be what's going on there. It kind of reminds me of Rocky and Creed, where Rocky was like, no, I don't want you. I'm not going to be part of this. I don't want you fighting him. So instead, Creed goes out there and gets his ass whooped without Rocky. And Rocky's like, okay, I feel
Right.
bad. Now I'll
Right.
train you. Like, hey, man, you should have trained him in the first place. So my whole thing is, listen, if you're worried about Nick, you should advise them not to. But if that's your boy, if that's your dude and he's going to battle, hey, if you decide to go to battle, we're going to battle. You know what I mean? I'm going to make sure I'm there. I'm going to make sure I give you everything that I can give you, unless you feel like you're not in the best position to still be his coach. Unless you feel like, hey, this guy's outgrown me. He needs someone better than me. Okay, maybe, but it doesn't sound like that's the case in this situation. So for Nick, I mean, damn, man, we were excited when we saw him fight Robbie Lawler. Right, everyone was excited to see the return of Nick.
Yep.
Everyone saw Nick in that picture at the park, ripped up, shredded Nick Diaz, and we said, "Oh shit, he's back, baby! Nick Diaz Army. Let's get into formation. Let's start marching. Let's see what we got." And then he showed up on fight week, and we were like, "Hey, man." That's false advertisement. That is not what you look like at the park. That's a different Nick Diaz.
That definitely was.
And then his performance led us to go, all right, we got our return of Nick. It's not Nick. It's not the Nick we remember, and that's okay. And his time, his prime, is gone. We are still upset that a lot of his good years were taken from him because of all the bullshit with what he can and can't do outside of the fight and weed and all that shit. It is what it is. So now I see Nick's coming back again, and with a new coach, and all, I'm just like, damn, man, like it's another situation for me where I'm like, I don't want to see Nick Diaz and Tony Ferguson both go down the same path where it's just like, guys, please, for the love of God, stop fighting. The only good news right now is still in the UFC. I'm gonna be real sad when they're signing up to get knocked out in these random, Triller app things that they put on where we gotta see our legends get smashed on there. So hopefully they stop soon, man, to be honest.
Dude, I know I'm already kind of tipped my hat where I'm with this. Is like, I don't like it. Well, I don't like the long-time coach coming out and talking to media about it. I don't really think that was healthy. Maybe there's some other shit I don't know about. Maybe there's some discourse, something ugly, and that would suck within itself. So I hope none of that. But what's the words? It's just not what you want to see. And I feel like I've seen this before, not in a perfect example like you gave of Rocky, but literally so many times before. And to give some of Caesar's words credit from the article I read, he didn't say he didn't want him to fight. He said he just wasn't involved, and this wasn't his this wouldn't be his opponent of choice, and he wouldn't advise to fight overseas It's not advisable to fight overseas later in your career. I thought that's good ass coaching advice. Sean, you want some good ass coaching advice late in your career?
Yeah. And I'm gonna give it to you, Nick Diaz. Don't listen to these two guys. Throw that Metal Militia hoodie back on, throw your jeans back on, and go start ripping the fucking heavy bag. I think you still got it in you. Another 3, 4, 5, 10 years, buddy. I think you got it. The Diaz brothers got it, especially Nick. And you guys are hating on him, but I'm not. I'm ready for another Nick resurgence, and I think he's gonna put it on whoever he got. I like it, Nick. Come on, dude. If you don't got Gracie in your corner, so be it. I think you can go out there alone, dude. You're Nick Diaz, buddy. You know what it is. You're the man. You're the violence, BMF itself. Go out there, put it on everybody. Don't listen to these two guys. Go, like I said, go put that Metal Militia hoodie back on, that zip up, those jeans. Walk out like that. Bring that era back. I know the Deftones is going to be blaring in your headphones. Come on, dude.
Let's go. That's the pep talk someone needs, I guess, to get going. Dude, when I think about it though, really, if we're being honest, Luque is on a not doing so good. I like him so much that I can't even say more than that. But he's not doing so good. And then the time and distance and everything's kind of making sense from a athletic, scientific point of view. If we're talking about both brothers are high mileage, both guys are later in the game. The disadvantage Caesar talking about switching locations is on both of them. It's not home turf for either. Yeah. So, you know, if there is one more time, like, because me and Ricky, we signed up for one more time with Ravi, and then shit, like, I'm done signing up for one more time.
To be fair, though,
what?
There were glimpses in that Robbie Lawler fight where Nick still looked sharp as fuck. There are still some sequences, those combinations, ripping the body where you're like, oh shit, here goes Nick. Shit, I remember the video of Conor McGregor saying, oh, it's his vintage Nick Diaz. Conor was excited to watch him fight.
It was.
And there were glimpses and there were injuries, right? We know that he was suffering through an injury. He said he couldn't pull out of the fight. He had something wrong with his disc in his back, like some fucked up that he needed surgery on. Spinal. So it's spinal. So hopefully that is taken care of. And to Sean's point, man, I really do hope we see a better Nick Diaz. I would love nothing more than if Nick Diaz came in here and was like, oh shit, this is what he was supposed to look like against Robbie Lawler if it wasn't for that back injury. So I'm not going to say, I'm not putting him where Tony Ferguson is right now, where I'm like, yo, I kind of don't have any more hope for him. I still have hope for Nick, but if this one doesn't go well, if he comes out and just doesn't, he looks even slower or looks like he's regressed even more, then from there it's like, please, man, please give it up. But yeah, hell yeah, I would love nothing more than Nick Diaz to come back and
Nick, I know I already requested the Metal Militia, the jeans, the Deftones, but dude, please come out and throw some more spinning shit immediately as the fight starts. You just got your back fixed. I think this spinning shit lands this time. Trust it. The second time's the charm. Lupe's not going to be prepared for it. He thinks you threw it away that last fight. I think you got it in you, dude. Just saying.
There you go. And I support what Ricky said as well. I'm on it one more time. This is the one I'm going to be like, I'm going to judge for real. Good luck, Nick. Good luck, Vicente. Love you both. Give us a show. Good luck. Good luck. Yeah. So, well, okay. So one thing to another that doesn't connect at all. I've no smooth segue from what we just talked about. We could maybe. Caesar and Nick, different points of views. Who's the bad guy? Who knows? We won't know till later. But in this story, we know exactly who the bad guy is. There is no doubt who the bad guy is in this story. Folks, I love random ass stories that come out of combat sports. And this is one that really just goes the extra mile. So you might see the ticker, obviously, hopefully you do. Kickboxer turned super villain, Jamal Ben Sadiq, glory kickboxer, pretty big dude. Anyways, this guy goes on a modern day Bond villain tryout in real life, though. So the Moroccan fighter, I gotta read it. I try not to read word for word, but this stuff is too good, and I don't want to mess up any of the really good details. So I'm just gonna read the legit part. Here it comes. So Sadiq was a allegedly to have ordered kidnapping and assault of a dock worker at the port of Antwerp who allegedly accepted an advance payment for the extraction of cocaine from the port, but failed to follow through. Are you catching what I'm saying, folks? So then the arrest comes days after Antwerp Correctional Court recently sentenced this man already to 40 months prison and fining 40 grand in euros for money laundering and fraud. His brother Saeed was who also tried in the case was same thing, whatever. He's appealing. Who cares? Yeah. Here's the kicker. Here's the like next level shit. Here's the next level shit. While Sadiq is not being charged for drug trafficking, he is currently being prosecuted in an investigation of the criminal organization Assyrian Clan Y, allegedly involved in large-scale drug trafficking and money laundering operations. So there you go. There's a story in combat sports. Kickboxer turned supervillain, going the distance. Man, this is a story and a half. I know we don't know the fighter as famous, but could you just imagine this? Like our athletes get busted for boring shit like beating up their girlfriends and fucking like DUIs and shit, like just ordinary shitbag shit. This guy, he wants to be a criminal and he goes, hey, here's a story. I mean, have you ever heard of something like this, dude? Like Ricky, what's your thoughts? First thought on this.
First thought is, man, fuck that dog worker, bro. Play your part. Move the shit. Move the weight. Let him keep it going. You snitch. That's my first thought. You snitch of a dog worker. And who is this gang that's letting this dude say no and then go snitch? We know what's supposed to happen. You offer the money. You tell him, hey, we're bringing some shit here. You're going to let it slide. You're going to push it through for us. And if he says no, you kill him. All right? So it's bad on him, bad on the gang. It's amateur hour. That's my first instinct. This is amateur hour all over the place. A professional kickboxer doing some amateur drug dealer work. All right. You need to put some more time in the lab, become as good as a drug dealer or drug trafficker as you were a kickboxer. That's all it is, man. Serve your time, do your thing. But all in all, cool story. It is a cool story, man, to know like, hey, there's some shit going on with somebody. Like, and it just goes to show you, like, there are situations where, man, there are way more fighters that could be involved with shit like that. Way more fighters that can easily evolve. I mean, I mentioned him earlier. I know people mention him too many times, but we talk about Conor McGregor, right? There's a whole bunch of stories with him in the past about being linked with people that you don't want to be linked to and maybe having to do some shit for some people you don't want to have to do some stuff for because maybe he made a mistake and got involved with them in the wrong way. There's so many fighters that get involved in shit like that. So it's just, it's actually surprising to me that we don't hear more of it, especially from a fighter sequence, because, you know, let's be honest, if you are in the mafia, if you're looking for some higher guns, looking for some muscle, why not turn to guys who you know could really whoop some ass and intimidate? So yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, the other crazy thing is just, I don't know how much time he's gonna get, but it seems like he's gonna be gone for a little while.
Yeah, that's definitely heavy duty stuff. I know we've had a little bit of random criminal element stories in random cases in MMA. Obviously, I don't know, I said not, but not. This is like movie plot, awesome. Like, did you guys like just hearing everything I said? Sean, your reaction to this like instant story?
Yeah, I think it is a movie plot, but I also think that we do see a lot of these fighters tied to crazy, crazy people. Let's not forget, I know, Ricky, you just mentioned Connor, right? But we also have Kamzat Kadyrov.
Whoa.
We also have, who else am I going to mention? I mean, I can just think
The
of it off
Eagle.
this. Yeah, we have the Eagle. There's so many guys that I can
I
think of
mean,
off.
Tyson Fury was named with that Irish gangster dude. I don't have the names, but I'm just trying to help. Sorry.
But like it's everywhere. There's so many guys tied to so many people where it's like, okay, question marks arise where it's like, what's really going on behind the scenes? Let me not mention Ali Abdelaziz, Like, let's go, guys. Come on. There's so many conspiracy theories with all these motherfuckers at the top of the game. And these are guys that are tied to all your favorite fighters. They're everywhere. There's so many links to the highest people in martial arts tied to shady, shady things. And it gets overseen by us fight fans being pressed with fights every single week because we're still going to watch the fights. The fights are still going to be presented to us, but little are we going to dive into who's really at the top pulling the strings here and there. There's some shady people at the top, and hopefully I don't get whacked for talking about any of this, but it's the truth. It's
Yeah,
the truth. Go look into it, guys. I'm not
no,
being
for
a
sure.
conspiracy theorist. This is the true
Oh, and
shit.
that shit, and it
No,
used to
no,
be
no.
way bigger a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like when the mafia really had their toe in boxing and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
it used to be way more wild than stuff that you hear now. But yeah, whenever you hear a story like that, you kind of think of those old times. Like, damn, how many people are involved in what, and which fighters are involved in
Look at
what other
Dana
shit.
White. He had those stories with Whitey Bulger. You can go back like all even to the promoters, like to mobsters in Boston. You know what I mean? Like even to
Yeah, for
Dana.
sure.
So there's ties everywhere to these shady individuals and stuff that's going on behind the scenes. But this is definitely one of those interesting ones, Rob.
definitely, definitely. And like I said, I'm hoping that somehow this plot gets weaved into a Bond movie or something. We end up watching. And we're like, wait a minute, kickboxer, Port of Antwerp, cocaine. Like, wait a minute, I've heard this before. Anyways, something we've heard before. I've heard a lot. Heard it maybe too much. Is Jon Jones is in trouble again. Jon Jones is in trouble again. Jon Jones. I'm gonna leave it alone. Uh, is in trouble again, and it's not unusual. Doesn't feel weird. I'm not alarmed. I'm not even concerned. I'm not even disappointed. I'm actually like, for the first time ever, thinking this is fucking wonderful. And the reason why I think this is because this means Jon Jones is entering his final form. When he is a champion, getting into defendable legal trouble, he reaches an athletic place that no other athlete can in combat sports. It's this synchronicity between the devil himself and combat sports. And it works itself out in beautiful ways, usually with his opponents getting wrecked. And since people want to see him fight more than what he's committed to fight one more time, but people keep going that way. Well, that's what I wanted to see. Personally, I needed to see Jon Jones get into some shit. So I know that he's still there. People always like, do you still got it? Do you still got it? This is our mark. Does the brother hold the world championship and get in trouble with the law? Yes and yes, still the best. And that's my take on this. Guys, I'm gonna go to Sean first because Sean's been going second a lot. Sean, sorry. You go first this time, buddy. Jon Jones in trouble again. What's up?
It's a never-ending cycle, right? Fight starts at the top. After he fights, right into what is it?
Talk about
Arrest?
God. Talk about God.
No,
He preached a lot about God.
after the arrest is when he comes to his come to God moment, and then it goes right back into fight. So fight, arrest, come to God, right back into fight. It's a never-ending circle. I don't know what's going to happen with Jon Jones. I just think the circle continues until he retires, and then he spends a long time in a jailhouse. I think he's facing potentially a year now. I don't want to see Jon keep going to jail, but as time has predicted and time has repeated itself, it has never failed. It seems like a yearly annual appearance now. I know this is for a case that happened earlier in the year, and it's just like the details are coming out on it now, the charges. But listen, we gave him the benefit of the doubt earlier. I know we had an earlier episode, maybe episode like 3 or 4 or something, where we talked about this case. So that's how long ago this initially came out. And we were like, oh, maybe this is just a hit piece on Jon. But nope. Sure enough, this motherfucker did something crazy, and Jon's back at it again. We were talking last week. Hey, Jon, that's the real title fight. Well, potentially is not if Jon's not going to fucking fight anymore. So maybe Tom and Blades is the real title fight. We don't know. A lot of question marks in the air. Or they just fucking let Jon hold it while he's in prison. First ever prison title holder. Hey, who knows? Look good in the jail cell. You ever
Royal
guys see
Rumble.
it? Royal Rumble.
Whoa, that that whole like John,
Fire.
you put a man in that room, you put another man with Jon Jones, and who comes out is like it's literally gonna be that because there's no
That's what
other
they're gonna do
format
with
it could be.
Stipe, bro. They're just gonna throw Stipe in the jail cell, see who walks out.
The first ever cell match in WWE or UFC history.
Get your
Um,
fingers out of the bars instead of the cage.
Jeez, dude, that was heavy. I just want to say this though. UFC Dana White has prevented their world champions. Everybody forgets about this story. You guys remember Rampage Jackson running from the cops, like going full blown bananas? Like he didn't even serve no time. He was fine. So this is misdemeanor, dude. I looked at the crime. Yeah, there's some fines. Yeah, there could be maximum time. Ain't nobody giving a celebrity time on a misdemeanor. Regular people don't get time on misdemeanors unless you literally do it like a dozen times. So yeah, there you go. So it's stupid, but like I said, perfect. Like he needs a little bit of trouble, don't you think, Ricky? Like, don't you think this is what he needs?
You're saying that Jon Jones' legal trouble is the start of a training camp? Is that what you're telling me? It just means that we're about to have that. It just means we're 6 to 8 weeks out from a fight.
Bro, it's like when you talk about intangibles of an athlete, this is one of those intangibles. He needs a little bit of legal action.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in this scenario, listen, I always end up sounding like the Connor and the Jon Jones defender, and like there's so many reasons that you cannot be a fan of Jon Jones. This isn't one of them. Like, who cares? Who gives a shit? It's a misdemeanor. It is what it is. I always try to say, keep that same energy. Man, if I wouldn't want anybody to judge me solely off a misdemeanor, you can't judge Jon off of this misdemeanor. There's a lot of other things that you can judge Jon Jones for in the past, but I've seen so many people coming out like, oh yeah, he's a piece of shit, just automatically thinking he's done the worst without even reading into what happened, what transpired. They don't care. Like, this is it. This just proves that Jon's the worst human of all time in their eyes. And it is what it is, man. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you are somebody who is repeatedly in trouble, especially legally in trouble, and people just think you always somehow get away with everything that you do. But yes, he's going to get away with this because, like Rob just said, it's a misdemeanor. It ain't shit. Like, it is what it is. So in this situation, it was the same thing with the Connor situation with the girl in the restroom when she's like, oh, all this, and that was way harder, way harsher, more scary crimes that she was claiming that Connor did. But I was like, hold on, let's see, let's check the thing. And then you find out it was just exactly what you thought. Connor was just trying to get some head in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, nobody was forcing anything. She was down with it. Like, it is what it is, bro. That's how I take these. It's like, it is what it is. I'm not going to change my perception of Jon, and neither should you off of this. Meaning, if you weren't a fan of Jon Jones, you're still not. If you are, this isn't the one to sway you. Like, this is nothing. He's gonna be back. It just tells me that, it's Jon Jones, man. We already know what happens when you're an easy target. Once you and listen, I'm not saying that people put the bullseye, put the target on Jon Jones. He put it on himself. Absolutely. But just because he put it on himself doesn't mean that a lot of the shit that comes out about him is still going to be nonsense, still going to be a whole lot of nothing. And I think that's what this is too, just a whole lot of nothing. Ultimately, I just need to see him back in the cage, man. I've never cared to know what Jon was doing outside of the cage. I'm not a fan of Jon outside of the cage. I just want to see him in there and defend that championship, see what happens from there.
Bro, I'm with you so much. I'm not a Jon Jones fan, but I do appreciate him as a fighter. And the immediately first thing that I did was like, I'll get to you, Sean, just one second. The immediate thing was like, what's the charge? And it was like misdemeanor, and then I was immediately like, I don't care. Sean.
Dude, it's just like, we say so often how boring champions are, right? Where it's just like, we need this guy to do more. We need this guy. Jon Jones is like the first guy where we're like, dude, dial it the fuck back. Stop doing shit, bro. Like, it's like the first guy where we're like, take his keys away. Like, let him like live in the UFC Performance Institute. Do something where it's like, this guy cannot go anywhere.
Yeah, he needs chaperones.
Like, yeah, Connor's very close to that point, but hey, Connor is also Connor. So Jon is a little more of a reckless abandon type of dude. It's one of those few instances where we're like, dial it back as a champion.
That's a good question, bro. Do you have to serve some jail time in order to be a big draw? Like, think about the biggest draws in the UFC. They've all been in cuffs. All of them.
I don't think
Sean O'Malley's wait. I
I
know
don't
you're a
think-
Sean O'Malley guy. You're waiting for that Sean O'Malley. I'm not gonna say it.
If
I
he
don't
really
think- I
wants
don't
to,
think
you know,
so.
he keeps saying he wants to be the biggest draw in the UFC. He's got to. He's got to do some shit. He's got to go to jail.
You
He's
need
got to
a
do
TMZ
something.
You're saying you need a TMZ moment to break through to
You
the
need a
public.
TMZ moment. It almost happened. It almost happened when the SWAT showed up to his house, but it was a fucking. He was streaming and these kids called and fucking they got him swatted.
Yeah.
So it didn't count. You need some real shit. All right. You need to go out there and threaten some dock worker if he doesn't fucking traffic the drugs for you. You need to do some real shit like that because you have to be, man. And like, no matter what people say, it's like, oh, we hate these guys for this. But when they do shit like that, you want to watch them more. And when you want to watch them more, guess what you're doing for them? Making them more money. So as much as you hate them, cool, man, keep making them more and more and more and more money. If you really hate them, stop watching them.
So for me, I'm just a degen. So like I don't need you to do any of that stuff. Just show the hell up at the fight and I'll watch you. Like for me, there's very little barrier between me watching you and not watching you. Just fight and I'll watch. Like it's literally that simple. So for me, I don't need any of that stuff. To me, it's a distraction and actually at a certain point takes away. I get it. You got to make fandom. I get it. You got to make headlines and people write about you. I get it. But I also think there's ways to do it. And of course, I'm going to lean on Max. You can just be regular. You could just kill people in the fucking octagon and be regular. And everybody still wants to see you fight. And everybody makes a big deal about you. So, like, I think there's other ways to go. But maybe I'm being a fucking...
There ain't nothing regular about Max Holloway. That is a special
I meant
human
like,
being.
not like that. Not like, you know what? I'm not even going to defend that because it doesn't need to. All right.
You all right? Turn it on your own Hawaiian column.
I did not turn. I didn't turn. I was just saying, like, there's no drama. There's just zero drama out of that direction. Anyways, drama, things that we wish didn't happen, but sometimes they do. It's pretty much unpredictable. It happens in every sport that I can think of, literally, every major sport. And what is it? CTE. And I'm bringing this up because there was a post put out there that covered Nam Fan and video cataloging, excuse me, of him speaking and kind of catching him over a good lapse of time. I think maybe like a 15-16 year period, and you could see his speech pattern change and also sound a little different now. I know for some, like, I'm going to go into some other stuff with it, so I'll skip that part. But it blew up the scene. A lot of people were talking about it. It was going all over. So I figured it was worthy to bring it here because I know we care. And I don't know anybody, never seen anybody insensitive to this topic of CTE because once again, it's broad spectrum. It's life altering. It's no good, but it's also so complex because it doesn't happen equally across the board. There's no it's not like dehydration or something where it's super easily to tell. And for some guys and girls, some guys, they're like the ones who are like, oh my God, this guy, when I see him in the future, he's going to be spitting bubbles. And then you see him in the future and he's totally fine. And then there's some other dudes, apparently just like Nam Fan, where you didn't really know, or you might not have known other than the power of the internet. And you see a guy clearly like, oh, that's not so good. But because he's Nam Fan and he's not Jon Jones and he's not Conor McGregor, it's not going to get the world to pay attention. It's not going to get anybody of significant media status to jump on this and push this. It's just going to be us, the hardcores, wondering and thinking about this until something changes or something can be done, or maybe nothing can be done. Because once again, this seems to go way back into all kinds of sports and sports you wouldn't even think. Like, I didn't know until I did a little research that the number one sport with like debilitating CTE is hockey. But when you think about it, it makes total sense. They go at a high rate of speed. The surface they're on is rock, it's ice, So everybody's boxing. It's actually not. So, anyways, guys, CTE, seeing it, any which way you feel about this topic, man, because I know there's a lot to it. It's complex, and we're still learning. The technology is still going. Sean, your thoughts, man, because you're you're doing kickboxing on the reg, like not saying you're getting
I thought you were
CTE,
gonna say,
but
because I thought you were gonna say because you
no,
got CT.
no, bro, he's actively participating. He's actively doing
Yeah. He's got to think
he's
about
in
it.
this risk area. So your thoughts, bro? Yeah.
Yeah. No, for real. Rob said no one really can be insensitive about this, but let me be insensitive about this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm totally kidding. You
Fuck
really
you,
can't be
mush
insensitive
brain.
about
Oh, okay.
this.
Sorry.
No, chill out. Yeah, this is a pretty tough topic. In any scenario, we see guys. I know we just said like the situation at hand is a situation where it might not get talked about as much as a Mike Tyson, Nate Diaz, all these other big names, but hey, it's a situation where you see it play out no matter what course of the sport, in any sport that has contact to it. And you see people change over time where you're like, this isn't the same person, right? And I mean, it's sad. And I know there's a risk to it at any point in any sport. And the risk is you might be one of those few people who get affected by it. You might be one of those few people who do have the short end of the stick when it comes to those type of things. But it's surprising to watch the sport time and time again. And like you said, Rob, you see these guys who you're for sure like this guy is taking blow after blow after blow, and they're more normal. And then you see another guy in the same situation and they completely change, and it's not the same person the way they speak or act. So it's kind of a new thing, new study. I hate even like thinking about it just for the sole fact that like knowing, hey, it could be you. You know what I mean? Even though I'm just like at a very low level, it's still scary, and it's still something I think about. So I'm sure it's anything anybody thinks about when it comes to any form of contact sport. But yeah,
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, and any kind of contact sport.
contact, yeah.
Yeah, and the only time I've been rendered unconscious by impact and received a concussion was go karting. I was in a go karting accident, and I hurt my head like that. So anything, like you said, anything. The brain is a mysterious place, like you said, man, and there's a lot of heart that goes into it. But like, I guess I'm phrasing a question we don't really have an answer to, but like, what do we do with this, Ricky? Like, because with Nam Fam's case, like, he obviously is electing to keep fighting. He's keeping it going. Now, some people, I just want to touch on this topic. Some people in that thread were commenting, "Oh, he even sounds different. He sounds even sound okay." Well, fighters, longtime fighters, and we have a lot on our show that can attest to this. Obviously, get their nose smashed in a little bit, so they sound more nasally a little later in their careers because the damage done to their nasal structure now, but his cadence and his cognitive function obviously was slightly different, and you could tell the degradation there. I know I threw a lot of things out there, Ricky. Pick it up wherever you want to go, my brother.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, right? Because especially if we're thinking about MMA, we have so much research done in terms of CTE. I mean, CTE wasn't even anything that wasn't part of anybody's vocabulary just
Mm-mm.
until not even that long ago, where we started getting the research. We started seeing. So the difference is like MMA, right? Unfortunately, we just don't have enough MMA fighters that have been doing it long enough, and it sucks to say, but like CT research all gets done from people who pass away, and they donate themselves to research, and then that's when they're able to study their brain and see different patterns and be able to really do that. So until MMA legends start passing away and donating their brain to research for that purpose, we're really not going to know the data on MMA for a really long time. So in
Damn.
terms of like what can be done in MMA, nothing, because there's not enough research. And the only thing that will be done are things that people don't want to see be done. What do you want them to wear? Headgear? You want them to have bigger gloves? Like,
Yeah.
nothing's gonna change, man. Nothing's gonna change, unfortunately. So for fighters, the only thing that I have seen is that fighters are smart, man, and they have been taking some precaution already. We've seen Max Holloway, we've seen Sean O'Malley talk about how they limit themselves in sparring. We don't spar. Max went as far as saying like, "Hey, there were a few fights that he literally didn't spar at all, and then fought." Sean saying he never ever spars outside of camp, that he only does his sparring scheduled when they're going into camp. He has his sparring days. So, and then it's just about everyone says the same thing: pick the right partners, pick the right partners. And, we're really not going to know. We're really not going to know at the end of the day. You look at somebody, I talked about Rob's favorite fighter. I just talked about my favorite fighter. We talk about Sean's favorite fighter. somebody like Sean Strickland who spars so much and spars hard so much in the camp, out of camp, doesn't matter. He's sparring. He's punching guys in the head constantly, taking punches constantly. So we don't really know what he's going to look like in the future. He seems fine. Seems like he has all his whereabouts right now. But yeah, man, it's going to be a long time until we really know what CT looks like from an MMA standpoint. We really aren't going to know for a while.
Well, I was
No,
just gonna
that is true.
if you're gonna talk about my guy, I can't jump in without saying something. No, I do think he does spar pretty often. He said it before too, where it even scares him. But at the same time, what scares me is like a guy like Sean can go into an octagon or go into a boxing ring and defend himself. What scares me is these new influencer fighters and these new promotions where it's guys who think they can just pick up the sport in a month and go into a situation where they're just going to punch each other's heads off without any type of defense. There's a reason these MMA fighters can go in there and fight 3 or 4 times a year, sometimes even more if they're lucky, and come out of it unscathed. Not unscathed. You're going to come out of it bumps and bruises, right? But there's a reason that they can do it year after year and not have lingering injuries because they fight smart. There's a reason that they're at that high level. They know how to defend themselves. They know how to stand there and strike, and they know how to protect themselves in those situations. It scares me with these kids though that like they're picking up the sport just randomly and they think it's a game. It's not a game, and I'm sure those kids will maybe catch some bombs fast that can linger with them for a while. I've already seen some crazy knockouts on people that don't even look like they know how to defend themselves on that stupid misfit shit. So
yeah,
I just want to say,
I mean, you take it a step further and go into the slap. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you're talking
that's
about a sport that is literally dedicated for you to just get concussed repeatedly until you're concussed to the point where you can no longer keep going.
yeah, that's a bloody mess. There's nothing good in that one. But like you said, it's tough because I mean, that's why I proposed the question, because it's like, what did I say just a minute ago? I'm a degen. I'm not gonna stop watching. So it's like I'm putting a lot of faith on the athlete to know and be honest with themselves where they're at and how they feel, because
Yeah.
if they keep coming out for a check, son of a bitch, I'm gonna keep showing
and
up to watch,
I mean, circling back, this is why we get concerned with the Nick Diaz. This is why we get concerned with the Tony Ferguson, because we don't know what it's going to look like, because especially in MMA where we don't know what it looks like, we don't have enough legends that are in those ages of their years where you're like, oh shit, look how bad they are, where they have Parkinson's, where they can't speak right, where they're just really non-functional anymore, and you're like, damn, this is what it did to them. We don't have enough of those examples, so we don't look at Tony going, oh yeah, look, you're going to end up just like this guy. We don't look at Nick or any of these guys, even Max, if he's still fighting. Like, even Max has winning. It's not about winning. It's about just how much damage are you taking over time.
Right.
We don't have those guys that say, hey, if you keep going, you're going to look like this dude. We don't have that, right? All we could point to is boxers, NFL players, stuff, and MMA fighters are going to go, yeah, but that's that sport. That's not our sport.
Yeah, exactly. And that's rough. That's a very real and honest truth about the situation, man. Our sport's so young, so there's inevitably just this growing pain that we'll just kind of have to deal with and see. But on the other hand,
I feel like it's not going to be as bad as boxing, though. I just feel like there's so many more nuances to MMA with the grappling, your ability to submit people instead of always punching, and the fact that if you go down, the fight's probably over. Not like boxing where you can count to fucking 8, get up, get fucking punched, get punched another 140 times over the course of the next 7 rounds, and then be like, all right, fight's over now.
I really hope at some point they just find in the science that it's not even about that. Like, I hope everybody can enjoy whatever sport they want, and if sometimes you get cracked and you go down, it's the thing. I'm hoping that they find out there's like a time duration thing, like between, say you get cracked or whatever's. Hey, you got to not do that for a while. Because to me, like that would be, I don't know. To me, that's the best way to solve. If this works out that way, I'm just fantasizing that athletes still get to be athletes, and we have a formula to keep them good overall till the end of their retirement.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. This is. I just want to say, shout out to NamFam. Thank you for the fights. Thank you for the entertainment. I hope that the internet, because I haven't seen anybody interview recently to get your side of the story. So somebody just took some stuff, put it together, And I fucking hate it. You didn't get to your side of the story, and people just like, oh, look at this guy with CTE. Fucking, bro, what if he had a fucking mean nasal infection? He didn't sleep that good. You fucking sound like shit. You talk like shit, you know? I'm just saying, you know, Nam, we appreciate you, bro. I hope you're doing well and your story comes out and, you know, we get more from this. But, anyways, guys, you know, we're towards the end and it's time to say thank you. I want to say thank you to you guys, of course. Thank you to everybody on the X platform, watches Post Fight Clarity. We'll have another one of those Sunday, and obviously joining us for the fights for during the spaces. So thank you to everybody on that. Sean, what do you got some thank yous for, bro?
Yeah, thanks to everybody watching. It's been a fun episode. We talked about a lot of stuff. We have more fun stuff to come. Let us know what you guys want us to talk about. If any topics pop up, fill us in. We have our live show on Sundays, so make sure to check that out. But yeah, thank you guys.
There you go, Ricky.
Heck yeah, just like Sean said, man, this is not a UFC show. This is a combat sport show. So anything at all, there's shit that we miss. There's things that we don't know about. Like, fill us in for sure. We would love to learn new things. I mean, some of the topics that we come up with, we learn them from each other. You know, one of us will send something in the group chat. It's like, oh shit, I didn't know about that. Fill me in on it. Okay, cool. And then we go from there. So yeah, like Sean said, if you guys have any topics, any cool stories that you heard come up that has to do with combat sports at all, bring it up to us, mention it to us, and we'll throw it in here. We'll give you credit for it as well in here. Other than that, everybody that's watching, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys. Well, I jump on all their messages and say double that. Thank you. It's been a good time. We'll see you next time. All right.